This is Candor Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get right into the show. But before we get into the show, don't forget to check out our website, sylviaexpress.com.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end. No safety or surprise, the end.
Hey, fabulous people, I'm back. Okay, so anyway, let me turn this down a little bit. Okay, so what's going on? If you have never heard that song before, it's called The End by The Doors, and the reason why I decided to use that, because it is the end for that imposter in the White House. Things are just atrocious right now, and I'm going to start with the most important story, which I'm not understanding why it's not being covered extensively, like incessantly, is the Michael Flynn situation. Now, I'm going to play a real quick clip that basically summarizes real quickly what's happening with the Michael Flynn situation. And then, after I play the clip, I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so here it is.
What could be a major turning point in special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. CBS News has confirmed that Michael Flynn's attorney, Robert Kellner, called Trump lawyer John Dowd on Wednesday night to inform him they could no longer communicate about Flynn, leaving the president with one less ally as Mueller probes potential collusion between his campaign and Russia.
Mike Flynn is a fine person, and I asked for his resignation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
General Flynn lasted just 24 days as national security advisor, stepping down after it was revealed he lied to the vice president about his communications with Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak during the transition. White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders in July.
To my knowledge, he did not collude with anybody to influence the campaign.
Flynn came under scrutiny by the special counsel for his private sector work on behalf of the Turkish government. Flynn's son, who worked for his father's firm, may also be caught up in the probe.
Okay, so basically, let me just tell you why Trump is going down in burning flames. And I've been saying it for a very long time that he was going to go down in burning flames. And the reason why he's going to go down in burning flames is because Michael Flynn is finally basically doing one of two things. And if you talk to any attorney that knows anything about criminal law or knows criminal attorneys, they will tell you that it's one of two things. Either Michael Flynn is cooperating with Robert Mueller, or, which it can't be and or, it's or, he is trying to cooperate with Robert Mueller. So essentially what's happening is that Michael Flynn's attorneys are basically telling Trump to go fuck himself. But this is what really normally happens. So essentially in these particular situations where the defendants have a mutual interest, right? They're basically defending similar claims that arise out of the same transactions and occurrences. The defense counsels for both sides will basically share information. So essentially Michael Flynn's attorneys and Donald Trump's attorneys were sharing information. But Michael Flynn's attorneys have told Donald Trump's attorneys, we're not sharing any more information with you. There's only one or two reasons, like I just said before, that he could possibly be doing that. One is you're trying to cooperate. And the thing is, if it's that, then it's we don't know what's going to become of that, because sometimes these cooperation deals, they fall apart. But if he's already cooperating, then that's just the end for Donald Trump. And that's part of why I played The Doors earlier, because I think that essentially it is the end for the imposter in the White House. Because if Michael Flynn is cooperating, the only way that Robert Mueller is going to give him like a plea deal or something that would be entertaining to Michael Flynn to basically protect himself and protect his son, the only thing that he could possibly offer is something greater than himself. And the only people that are greater than himself would be Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, or Donald Trump. Now, let me just tell you right now, if it's Donald Trump Jr., he will sing like a canary. Trust me on that. He will sing like a canary when he starts realizing that this little Twitter troll, will be stuck in prison with like average people. This, privileged kid is going to be stuck in somewhere. Well, he's not even a kid anymore. He's like literally a grown adult, which is going to get him in so much trouble. And I'm going to get into him next because I talked about him before in a previous show, but I'm going to get into him next. But don't get it twisted. Donald Trump Jr. will flip, and so will Jared Kushner will definitely flip because he's been marginalized right now. And he's offended by being marginalized right now in the White House. And basically, John Kelly has basically sidelined Jared Kushner. But on top of it, Jared Kushner's in so much trouble. So don't get it twisted. Jared Kushner's the kind of person, he's a typical New Yorker. He's the kind of person that would flip and ask any lawyer who's actually studied these people or seen these kind of witnesses or seen these kind of, accused. These are the type of people that basically are cowards if you look at the personalities of these people. So that Michael Flynn situation is a terrible situation because Michael Flynn has the goods. Michael Flynn has the goods. If Michael Flynn decides that he's going to cooperate or that he's going to turn into a witness against Donald Trump or against somebody there, and he probably has evidence that he can probably give to the investigators, that's probably game, set, match for Donald Trump. Okay, so but then there was another situation that basically happened, which was Donald Trump Jr. And I told you guys about it a little bit. I was just basically making jokes about him because he's such a baboon. He's such a buffoon. I can't even believe that he made some of the most atrociously stupid decisions. But nevertheless, I need you guys to really hear what's transpiring here. So I'm going to play this clip because I think that it's important that people understand, like, this is serious. This is beyond even the level that it sounded like even when I did the last show. This is really, really bad. And then I'll tell you what I think is going to happen to Donald Trump Jr. As a result of this situation. So here's a clip.
Shocking private messages between Donald Trump Jr. and WikiLeaks. ABC News learning that starting at the height of the campaign, Donald Trump's son and WikiLeaks were secretly corresponding. Late tonight, Don Jr. released the messages on Twitter. As first reported in The Atlantic, the exchanges with WikiLeaks went on for at least 10 months, starting in September of 2016, just 2 months before the election. The president's son communicating with WikiLeaks, a group the intelligence community believes was used by Russia to spread information about Hillary Clinton and influence the election. Even President Trump's own CIA director has said this.
It's time to call out WikiLeaks for what it really is. A non-state hostile intelligence service often abetted by state actors like Russia.
WikiLeaks had already leaked stolen documents and emails from the DNC when Don Jr. started receiving direct messages from the group on Twitter. All the while, his father proclaiming this.
WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
2 days after that rally, WikiLeaks wrote, "Hey Donald, great to see you and your dad talking about our publications." Adding, strongly suggest your dad tweets this link if he mentions us, sending a link to their leaked documents. Don Jr. did not respond, but 15 minutes after it was sent, Donald Trump himself tweeted very little pickup by the dishonest media of incredible information provided by WikiLeaks. So dishonest, rigged system. And 2 days later, his son tweeted out that link that WikiLeaks had sent. Sources close to Don Jr. believe that after WikiLeaks first reached out, Don Jr. informed campaign leaders, including Steve Bannon, Kellyanne Conway, and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. For months, Trump Jr. and WikiLeaks kept talking, and though Don Jr. did not engage with all of WikiLeaks' requests, he didn't rebuff them either.
Okay, so he is in so much trouble, and he knows he's in trouble. His father knows he's in trouble. They know that he's going to go down in burning flames, just like the rest of them are going to go down in burning flames. Because what he's looking at right now is aiding and abetting computer crimes, conspiracy to commit computer crimes, and receiving stolen property, which is probably what Robert Mueller is looking at right now, which it's going to be very easy to prove. Because you get this information from WikiLeaks, and being Don Jr., actually Fredo, I forget his name is Fredo, being Fredo Trump, he decides to tweet out what WikiLeaks told him to tweet out, which were stolen documents. Oh my goodness. I mean, you can't get any dumber than this. Literally, like, everybody that's affiliated with Donald Trump is dumb. He told you, I'm going to get the best and the brightest. I'm going to get the best and the brightest. When are they going to show up? Are any of the best and the brightest going to show up? Because we're yet to see the best and the brightest. Your son is a baboon. Your son is a buffoon. Then you have another son who's completely he's literally Fredo Jr. You have a daughter who's now caught up in this stuff. She's obviously doesn't know what the hell she's doing. Then you have a son-in-law who you had to marginalize because he's so incompetent. And who's also probably going to be in so much trouble because of the Russia investigation. And to be honest with you, I only think Donald Trump is keeping Kushner around because of the Russia investigation. Because Kushner will tank him. Kushner is the kind of be like, he told me to do this, he told me to do that, he told me to do that, in exchange for a lesser sentence. That's the kind of person he is. He's a typical New Yorker. The kind of guy that is so dumb that he was willing to aid and abet his father-in-law with Russia and made sure those communications were on a digital footprint. These are how stupid these people are. They're so dumb. Okay, and it's just fair to say that they're very stupid. But then you have another person who is making life just hell for Donald Trump, which is Jeff Sessions. I'm going to play this clip. It's so absolutely hilarious. It's from Stephen Colbert, and it basically gives you a summary, because Jeff Sessions, a summary of Jeff Sessions' testimony. Jeff Sessions just recently testified in front of the, I think it was the House of Representatives Committee. He basically testified in front of them, and just literally the guy just, he decomposed, like literally a buffoon. But it's so hilarious when you hear Stephen Colbert talk about it. So I'm going to play this clip real quickly, and then I'm going to tell you why I think this whole thing with Jeff Sessions is such a bad situation for Donald Trump. Okay, here's the clip.
I don't recall. I don't recall it. I don't recall it. I don't recall it. I do not recall. I don't recall it. I didn't recall it. I had not recall.
Not a great memory. No surprise, Sessions' memory was a hot topic of the hearing.
In your testimony today, you have stated, I don't recall, at least 20 times. Is that fair to say?
I have no idea.
It's a fair answer, I guess. I'm starting to get a little worried here.
Okay, we all should be a little bit worried, okay? But Stephen Colbert is so funny. He's hilarious. He just cracks me up. But Jeff Sessions basically said in that last hearing, I don't recall, the same way that he consistently says, I don't recall, in the previous hearings where he's testified. And the problem is that Jeff Sessions likely committed perjury, right? Jeff Sessions lied about his communications with the Russians, and then when he was asked, he's changed his story multiple times. And this is the thing. This is your chief, basically law enforcement officer of the entire United States of America. This guy is in charge of, this is the Attorney General of the United States of America, and this guy does not recall minor things. Like, my personal opinion is that maybe he should be on disability, because if you're having that kind of memory loss, maybe it's time to retire and go on, get on disability. I mean, you obviously you're disabled somehow, mentally disabled, mentally incapacitated. You don't even have the memory of like a 2-year-old. You should not be the Attorney General. But what's more problematic is that Jeff Sessions is likely the kind of person who, even though he's trying to cover up for Donald Trump, and he tried to by saying he doesn't recall, I don't recall. And then he changes up and says, I don't remember, because the guy's saying, you said, I don't recall. Like, a normal attorney, a rational-minded normal attorney would recognize that you are you're basically, what is being said about you is that you are obstructing. And if this was in a court, you could ask the court and say, look, hold this person in contempt. For refusal to answer these particular questions. Jeff Sessions is a problem, but not just because of the fact that he's completely incompetent. He's a complete and total buffoon. He has the aptitude of a butterfly. He's so dumb. But nevertheless, what really makes him a really, really, really bad person for Donald Trump is because of the fact that Jeff Sessions isn't smart enough to withstand the pressure. He's the kind of person that will crack under pressure, and you can tell, which is so confusing when you recognize that he was actually I think the U.S. attorney in Alabama, and then maybe the attorney general in Alabama. This guy was an attorney, and then now he's the United States attorney general, and this guy cracks under pressure. This is a guy who admitted one time that he gets nervous when questions are asked to him too quickly. This is a guy who should be used to asking questions so quickly and used to knowing how to answer questions, and he can't even do that. So he's actually probably one of the main people that Mueller is going to use. Give immunity. Say, look, I'm not going to prosecute you for perjury, but I need you to start talking. And Jeff Sessions, you grill him long enough, you're not going to be able to tell Mueller, I don't recall. Mueller will go before a judge and hold you in contempt. So unless you plead the fifth, or you refuse to testify, you refuse because you think it'll incriminate yourself or something like that, and you refuse to give any information. But if you're talking to Mueller, you just can't be like, I don't recall, when you're, if he's interrogating you or whatever else. You just can't continue to do that. You're going to have to answer those questions. And if they don't believe that you have a legitimate Fifth Amendment claim because they're offering you like immunity or something like that, you're going to have to talk. So Jeff Sessions is not the kind of person who won't talk, and Jeff Sessions knows what happened because Papandopoulos has already said that Jeff Sessions knows what happened. So because Jeff Sessions knows what happened and knows how the situation transpired, and he knows the relationship he also had with the Russians, it's pretty safe to say that Jeff Sessions is the kind of person that's going to be a disaster for Donald Trump, not just because he's incompetent as hell, but because of the fact that he is a flagrant foul, and he is the most incompetent person you have, incompetently, easily manipulated, very gullible, easily persuaded, most likely to flip type of person. That's what he is. And so for that perspective, it's a disaster. And he's already put Trump in a bad situation because he continues to say, I don't recall, which makes it look like there's something you're trying to hide. And because he does that, he makes the investigation so much more interesting, I think, and much more, it makes the probably investigators investigate even harder because you consistently saying you don't recall makes it seem like there's a lot more that's going on that you're trying to act like you don't remember. And the reason why you're trying to act like you don't remember is because you think it's criminal. So that's going to make the investigators work even harder to probably get more additional information. So Jeff Sessions, all the way around, is a disaster for him. But honestly, Flynn, Don Jr. are the biggest stories. I don't understand why they're not being covered more and more and pounding them, incessantly covering them, because legitimately, this is the end. This is the end of Trump's presidency. And I've said it so many different times. I said the biggest mistake this man made was running for president. The biggest mistake. It has had collateral damage, collateral consequences for every single person that he knows, every single thing that he's done. It's had so much damage. It was the worst decision. It's going to be the decision that brings him down. And part of the reason why Flynn is cooperating, which this is important, and probably why he decided to cooperate with Mueller, is because Trump's not likely going to be able to pardon him. Because he's also being accused of state crimes. Trump doesn't have pardon power over state crimes. So a state governor would have to pardon you, and he's not likely getting a pardon from any governor. So unless he's like in, I don't know, maybe some really red state where the governor's Donald Trump's best friend. But nevertheless, he's not likely going to get pardoned in the state. So the problem for Michael Flynn is that he's most likely going down in burning flames, and his son is going down in burning flames because the accusations are just really, really bad, and he's looking at a significant amount of time. So my prediction is that what he's decided now is that it's not worth it to work with Donald Trump or to continue to hold out, because he's going to get more time, most likely, if he goes to trial, because Mueller probably has him dead to rights. And then his son is going to go down in burning flames right along with him. And he probably decided that it's not worth it to risk it anymore by holding on to Trump. And what Trump knows, because if there's one person he hasn't criticized, it's Michael Flynn. What Trump knows is that Michael Flynn has the goods. Michael Flynn knows what transpired that entire campaign. He was there all around everywhere, going from events with you, and he was going there on the day that you got elected, and he was giving speeches at the convention. I mean, then you nominated him and made him your national security advisor. This guy knows what went down, and he knows that you guys all knew that he was compromised, even the vice president. So let me tell you another thing too that's problematic right now for everything, is that Mike Pence is looking like he's going to be under investigation too. And if that happens, we've got a constitutional crisis we've never seen before, where the vice president and the president of the United States might both be impeached. If Mike Pence had even the slightest information about what was transpiring, and he did nothing to prevent this, and he allowed it to be facilitated and then lied about it after the fact, he's probably going down in burning flames as well. Then we're going to have to go to the Speaker of the House to become the de facto president, because we have two criminals that now have been basically under impeachment or been removed from office? Or are we going to have have an election? Or is Hillary Clinton going to become the president of the United States because the election was stolen basically from her, and it was coordinated amongst Trump's campaign and other Trump people? So we're going to have a huge constitutional crisis. But what I can definitely say to you, and I'm confirming this, I've said it for a long time, that I don't believe, even slightly or remotely, that Donald Trump will complete his first term as president. He will resign, be impeached, or they invoke the 25th Amendment. I've said it numerous times, and I'm sticking to it. And resignation is seeming a lot more likely, because if Kushner, let me just tell you the people who are probably going down. There's Clovis, who they said recently basically has been cooperating too with Robert Mueller, who's also part of the campaign, who was nominated to be for some scientist type position that he wasn't qualified for, but then he withdrew his nomination when he realized, I need to cooperate and move on over from this little pathetic campaign that I used to be a part of. And I definitely don't want to be a part of this imposter because he can't save my ass anyway. So I might as well move on. Then you have Jared Kushner, who I'm telling you was going to flip. You have Donald Trump Jr., when they get him in there and he's crying and snot's running down his nose, I have to want my daddy to save me. Fredo's not going to be able to save himself. And save his father. He's going to save himself. And then you have, obviously, Michael Flynn that's already going to talk. If you think Jeff Sessions isn't going to start talking, you have Papadopoulos who's already started talking. If you think Manafort's not going to start talking, and Gates, you got another thing coming. They're definitely going to start talking because they need to talk. And at the end of the day, Mueller is trying to get Donald Trump. And Mueller is going to get Donald Trump. Now, this is another thing, too, that Donald Trump has to worry about. Donald Trump has to worry about the fact that even if you are pardoned federally, that does not necessarily mean that if you're impeached and removed from office, that you won't be charged with state crimes in New York, that the simultaneous state crimes that coincide with the federal crimes. And you have nobody who's going to pardon you there. Nobody. Cuomo's not going to pardon your ass. You're going down in burning flames. So right now, Donald Trump, go ahead, enjoy the, flying around the world, using our money to go to your golf courses, trying to make money, extorting money from other people. Do all the little scandal stuff that you want to do. Just do it. Honestly, get your free time out. Scream on Twitter, call people Pocahontas, do all this ignorant, ridiculous stuff because you're just such a complete and total embarrassment. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump understands, like the rest of us should understand, is that he's going down in burning flames. And there's not much he can do to stop the train wreck that is happening. There's not much he can do to stop it. He can't fire Mueller because if he does, he's going to set off a constitutional crisis. And then you're going to force the Republicans' hand where they're going to have to impeach you. And they're not going to want to, but they're going to have to. Because you're not going to have the Saturday Night Massacre like Nixon all over again. The Republicans cannot afford for that to happen again. So Republicans are definitely going to impeach your ass if you do that. You can't fire Mueller. And Mueller knows you can't fire him. And that's why Mueller keeps doing things to test Donald Trump. Like, fire me. I dare you. Do it. Do it. Then I know I will get you. Then I know I got you. And if you think that Donald Trump will do that, I'm telling you, he won't. He won't. He's too scared to do that. He knows that will be a catastrophe. What could happen, though, and we should be very aware of this, is that Jeff Sessions could get fired. If Jeff Sessions gets fired, then Donald Trump can replace Jeff Sessions with another attorney general who did not have the duty or obligation to recuse himself from the investigation. And then that attorney general could get rid of Robert Mueller, which is all legitimate and in good fun. But the problem is it's going to look like, again, that you have tried to obstruct justice, which you're already being under investigation for. So I don't see him doing that because Jeff Sessions will go scorched earth if he does that. You made me lose my Alabama seats, and you're going to make me now be basically without a job while you just continue to be president? After you've humiliated me, after I came out there and had your back, after I made a fool of myself, after people maybe testify in front of committees, for the people that I used to work with, you're going to tell me now that I'm fired? No, Jeff Sessions will go scorched earth. And if he goes scorched earth, I really wouldn't care. So the thing is, I think that right now, what everyone needs to understand is that Donald Trump's presidency is over. It's over. This flailing around that he's doing right now, just let him do it. Let him do it. Who cares? Because honestly, your presidency's done. I mean, there's no point in anybody, no one's really taking you seriously anymore. You're a joke. You're a joke internationally. It's not just nationally, you're a joke internationally. You don't really have any allies left. Your approval numbers are in the tank. And even if this tax bill passes, it's going to be a catastrophe for your own voters. So you have nothing left. What your voters wanted from you, Donald Trump, was for you to build that wall and get rid of all of the illegals, quote unquote illegals, because there's no such human being. No human being is illegal. Every human being is legal. You may not be you might be undocumented, you might not have the right to be in a particular place, but you as a human being cannot be illegal. Now, they wanted you to do all those things. You haven't done them. So pretty much you're toast. And so that's basically my position on everything that's happening. Donald Trump doesn't have anything left. So he's going to go scorched earth for a little bit while. He's going to start attacking everybody. He's going after the mainstream media, which is just going to backfire because you're going to make him go after you even harder now. And so there's so many scandals that are popping up with his administration. Nobody wants to work there. He's bringing in quacks and cuckoos to be, judicial nominees. The guy is literally decomposing right in front of our face. He's becoming much more crazy. He's fighting with people that makes absolutely no sense. Like LeVar Ball just completely disrespected him. Like, who are you again? Who are you? I'm sorry, who are you? But the truth is LeVar Ball was right. Donald Trump they said that the kid would have gotten out anyway, and that for a crime like that of theft, China actually doesn't take it that seriously, especially since he's an American citizen, and they would have expelled him from the country, and that would have been it. So Donald Trump made himself look stupid again on something else, like on that situation. So you're going to see him do a whole bunch of stuff because everything is going bad for him right now. Anyway, guys, that does it for me. I just wanted to make sure that I did a makeup show because I wasn't able to do a show on Saturday because Thanksgiving. It was just family time, you know. I'm going to do another show that I'm going to post later today, hopefully, about Al Franken, Joe Barton, and George H.W. Bush, about all the allegations against them and my particular perspective on it. I said I was going to do an article on the the first accuser of Al Franken, and I never did it. And the reason why I never did it was because I decided that I just didn't want to be that person that was kind of dehumanizing another human being. Because what if like a video came out later on and you saw that there was complete and total harassment or, you know, abuse or whatever. So I'll talk about that anyway in the next show. But I didn't want to be the person that was dehumanizing anybody who claims to be a victim. If it comes out that it's 100% fact that it was a lie, even though I don't believe the allegations right now, but if it comes out that it was 100% that it was a lie, then yeah, I would have no issue doing that, except for I would want to black out their name because let that be something that goes into the investigator to determine whether or not there's going to be a civil lawsuit or whether or not there are going to be criminal charges filed against you or whatever. I don't know. I'm not likely criminal charges because I can't imagine what those would be. But nevertheless, so that's why I never posted that article. I thought about it in retrospect and I said, you know what? It's kind of tasteless to do that. So anyway, I'm going to do a separate show on Al Franken, Joe Barton, and George H.W. Bush and give you my perspective on what I think should be the solution for all three of them, essentially. And so that's basically what I'm going to do after this. I need to go back to doing some work right now because I'm obviously recording this earlier than I'm able to post it. But I'm going to try my best later on today to do another one, another show, basically just outlining that perspective, my perspective on that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Cantor Talk. And I promise you I'm going to be putting out more content if you still like it and you enjoy it. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I will see you probably in a couple of days. Have a good one.